Welcome back to CNN Student News and to the first day of December. I'm Carl Azus, kicking off 10 minutes of commercial-free current events. First up, Black Friday. It ain't what it used to be. Traditionally one of the busiest shopping days of the year in the U.S., it's losing a little ground to Thanksgiving Thursday. This year, a company that tracks retail sales found that American spending had increased on Thanksgiving Day and slightly decreased on Black Friday as compared with last year. There were also changes in where people shopped. Sales at brick and mortar stores, the ones you can actually visit, were reportedly less than they were last year. Sales online were mixed. The National Retail Federation says all things considered, the average American shopper spent just over $380 this holiday weekend. That's down from $407 last year. Economists watch retail spending to get an idea of how the U.S. economy is doing. When we left you last week, violent protests had begun in Ferguson, Missouri. Many of the demonstrators had wanted a white police officer, Darren Wilson, to be charged in the fatal shooting of a black 18-year-old, Michael Brown. But a grand jury decided not to charge Officer Wilson after hearing evidence and accounts from witnesses and police. Hundreds of protesters have been arrested, both in the town of Ferguson and in several other U.S. cities where people demonstrated against the grand jury's decision. Over the weekend, the policeman resigned from his job. Darren Wilson said it was for the safety of other officers and the community and that he hoped it would help Ferguson heal. While the demonstrations in other cities have mostly been peaceful, those in Ferguson have not.
On the streets of Ferguson, the morning light revealed the devastation after 2 nights of destruction.
Stop throwing objects at the police and disperse immediately.
The announcement of the grand jury's decision brought an explosion of anger and violence in Ferguson. Police surrounded this auto parts store early in the evening, but rioters torched it. The store lit up the night sky and continued burning well into the next day. Ferguson Market and Liquor is the store where Michael Brown allegedly stole some cigarillos just minutes before he was fatally shot. It became an especially symbolic target for looters. But some chose to stand up for their town. Andre Thomas didn't even know the owner of this wig shop. Tell me what you're doing out here.
Saw some people looting. That's not what I'm about, so just want to protect it.
Others tried to save Kathy's Kitchen, a favorite local restaurant run by a local family.
Leave this alone. Leave this alone.
Still, even Kathy's was vandalized. In the days and weeks before Monday's decision, business owners boarded up, hoping for the best, but their best efforts were no match for this week's fury. This is what's left of Little Caesars, Prime Beauty Supply, Flood Christian Church. More than 2,000 National Guard troops were ordered to the streets Tuesday, the governor promising there would not be a repeat of Monday night's violence. Still, another police car was set on fire and flipped over. More businesses were trashed as police tried to break up crowds with tear gas and smoke bombs. Natalie Dubos's bakery was heavily damaged.
It kind of feels like I'm in the twilight zone, that I'm watching this happen, but I'm actually having to live it. And the destruction here is just absolutely, is unbelievable.
By daylight, there were small glimmers of hope. Volunteers turned up to help with the cleanup. Natalie Dubose turned to crowdfunding for help. More than $100,000 has been pledged. And at Kathy's Kitchen,
I can rebuild. I will make it.
As requested on last Tuesday's transcript page at cnnstudentnews.com, today's roll call takes us to the capital of Russia. The Anglo-American School of Moscow is watching. Hello to the Penguins in Moscow. In Wisconsin, the village of Boyceville is barking with bulldogs. Boyceville Middle High School is on the roll. And the Mount Rushmore State is home to the Warriors. They're at Bennett County High School in Martin, South Dakota. The Middle Eastern country of Iran has a controversial nuclear program. Western nations, including the U.S., are concerned that Iran is building nuclear weapons. Iran insists its program is only for peaceful purposes like nuclear power. Last week, at an international meeting in Vienna, Austria, everyone involved in negotiations over Iran's nuclear program said good progress had been made. But no agreement was reached by the deadline, and some officials are asking if an agreement is possible.
So what happened here in Vienna? Why no agreement after so many months of talks? And remember, Vienna was just the most recent stop. There were previous rounds in Geneva, in New York at the UN General Assembly, other meetings in Oman, Paris, London, and still no agreement. At the end, the issues that divide the two sides now are the same ones that divided them at the very beginning. One, can Iran have a civilian nuclear program that the West, the US, is confident is not a cover for a military nuclear program? And can the West give Iran economic relief without losing its leverage? Now, both sides say they wouldn't keep negotiating unless they've made progress on those issues, but they will leave Vienna without the biggest question answered, and that is, can the two sides come to that balance without a constant regime of sanctions against Iran, which may or may not work, or, in the worst case, military action against Iran by the US or Israel, which may or may not work either. Now, on the good side, the West, the US and Iran, they're talking. More than a year ago, a simple phone call between the American president and the Iranian president was huge headline news. Now, US and Iranian officials are in contact almost every day. But despite that engagement, they still haven't been able to reach agreement, and they will leave here in Vienna without a resolution.
Time for the shout out. Which of these U.S. cities is oldest? You know what to do. Is it Baltimore, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois, or Savannah, Georgia? You've got 3 seconds. Go. Founded in 1729, Baltimore is the oldest U.S. city on this list. Its harbor connects to the Chesapeake Bay. That's your answer, and that's your shout out.
The frigate Constellation, the first ship of the U.S. Navy, launched in Baltimore Harbor. The Battle of Baltimore inspired Francis Scott Key to write the lyrics to the Star-Spangled Banner. Despite its rich history, Baltimore Harbor's also been rich in pollution. At one point, it was labeled unswimmable and unfishable. A new installation is helping to change that.
The water wheel power trash interceptor's purpose is to collect all the trash and debris that comes down this river. And this river drains a big part of Baltimore City and Baltimore County.
We know that our children can't swim in the harbor or the streams feeding the harbor because it's polluted.
It works from river current and solar power. The river current itself brings the trash to us, loads on the conveyor. The conveyor is powered by the water wheel. It's really like an engine.
So far it's collected over 100 tons of trash in the 4 months that it's been in here. It's almost all cigarette butts, plastic bottles. We got plastic bags, chip bags. There's needles. There's, sewage.
We can pick up as much as 40,000 pounds a day.
As soon as that wheel went in, we saw an immediate impact in reduction of trash in the harbor.
It's not a Baltimore unique problem, and you can see that because there's islands of plastic the size of Texas out in the Pacific.
We've had inquiries from over 100 different cities, all interested in finding innovative ways to remove trash from their water.
50 years ago, this was an industrial wasteland, and people thought that this could never become a tourist attraction, and today millions of tourists come each year.
We need to have a clean harbor. We deserve to have clean water.
There's still plenty to do, but this is a great start.
How do dogs drink? It's not as simple as we thought. Their tongues don't simply scoop water into their mouths, according to a new study. Researchers at Virginia Tech stuck a waterproof camera at the bottom of a bowl and got slow-motion video of thirsty dogs. They found that dogs' tongues curl backward as they're plunged into the water. The water then sticks, so to speak, to the back of the tongue and makes a column that the dog drinks. So if you wag your tongue at dogs, know their tongues do tons of work to lap, not lip, or simply lick the drink they drink to cool their tongue. Tongue-tied and dog-tired, I'm Carl Azuz. We've lapped up all our time this Monday on CNN Student News.